And you can bring yourself into a child's pose or any other position that would feel like a nice starting position for yourself. So I'm actually going to come into child's pose and place my palms onto a couple blocks, because that will allow me to open up my shoulders a little bit more. And we're just going to start the practice by taking a few breaths whenever you do get into your position. So take your time here. And this first position is really just to welcome the body into the space. All right, so noticing what you're coming in with, right? What are you landing with? What feels good in this moment? What feels a little bit tight? What feels stiff? What feels a little bit challenging? What are you coming in with, basically, right? What are you coming into the practice with? And then when you're ready, go ahead and take a deep breath all the way in, followed by a deep breath all the way out. 3 more times. So deep breath all the way in, deep breath all the way out, deep breath all the way in, deep breath all the way out. Last one, deep breath all the way in. Deep breath all the way out. Let's come on up into a tabletop position. Run. The cat's already running around, causing distraction. As you come into a tabletop, start moving through some cat-cows or any other movement that feels interesting to you here. So I often encourage myself and you all to just kind of move the spine in all the different directions, move the hips in different directions. You could flip the palms and stretch out into your wrists if you want. Really just let this be a nice way to get some of these first stretches in, get some of these first sensations into the body. Of course, keep on breathing. We're going to let the breath kind of be our vehicle throughout the entire practice. And you can always let out some big sighs whenever you want. That's another nice thing about practicing at home. If you ever just want to take a big sigh out, a big audible exhale, or anything else, you can, right? Because nobody is going to judge you. You're just in your own space. All right, so whenever you're ready, let's find downward facing dog. Give yourself just a moment here in your first down dog to work into it, right? You could bend one knee then the other. You could drop your heels to the left and then to the right. Or you could take any other little micro movements that might feel good into your system. Feel into the calves, hamstrings. Notice the ankles. Notice the toes, the heels, the fingertips. We're just building awareness into the practice. When you're ready from down dog, roll into a plank pose. So shift yourself forward, push the ground away. From here, your choice, if you want to stay in plank pose for a couple breaths, stay in plank pose. Other option would be to take one chaturanga push-up. What I mean by that, and you can do this with the knees lifted or knees down, just bend your elbows, come into your chaturanga, and then come back up into plank pose. And then once we all reach plank pose again, let's lower all the way onto the belly. As we lower all the way onto the belly, bring your forearms onto the mat for your Sphinx posture. And for your Sphinx pose, elbows can be below shoulders, or if you want to kind of decrease the back bend a little bit, bring the elbows a little bit in front of the shoulders. Relax the shoulders away from the ears. Maybe bring your feet a little bit wider to bring the low back some room. Roll the neck around a couple times, or maybe kind of look over your left shoulder, look over your right shoulder. Just stretch into each side of your neck, stretch into the back of your neck. Let the hips and legs be really heavy here. First back bend of the class, maybe first back bend of the day. And then we'll find a moment of strength. So we'll come into forearm plank. So if you need to slightly change your position to set yourself up, feel free. We're strong in the arms. And you can start off, you can always keep your knees down in forearm plank, right? So maybe you start, regardless, by lifting the hips up, the knees stay down. And then if you want to, once the hips are up, maybe you tuck the toes and lift the knees up as well. That part is your choice. And let's try to breathe here in forearm plank for another 5, another 4. Nice job, y'all. Last 3, last 2. On one, child's pose. So drop the knees down and then press the hips all the way back. Try to make this a little longer of a child's pose, a little more active of a child's pose. Maybe crawl the fingertips forward. Feel the hips actively pressing back. Feel the spine get a little bit longer in this child's pose. And then when you're ready, downward facing dog. And now that we're maybe feeling a little bit more warmth and awareness into the body, we're just going to flow through some sun salutations. I will add some lunges onto it. So we're just going to be in consistent movement for the next maybe 5 to 8 minutes. So take what you need from that. If you ever need a break or if you want to move slower than me or faster than me, you can do really whatever you want. With that being said, when you're ready, look forward and come to the top of the mat. So you could tiptoe, you could walk, you could hop, however you get there, forward fold. And then inhale to halfway lift, long spine. Exhale to forward fold. Inhale, hands reach all the way up. Maybe you look up to the sky as you reach up. And exhale, hands return to heart center. Let's just follow the breath. So inhale, reach all the way up. Maybe look up toward the sky, to the ceiling. Exhale, forward fold. Have some softness into your knees. Inhale, halfway lift, lengthen to the spine. And listen carefully, exhale, fold, left foot steps back. So allow your left knee to come down. You can always utilize a blanket underneath your knee if that would make you feel good. Give yourself a quick second in this low lunge. Maybe bring the hands up toward the knee or toward your hips. And then once you feel good about things, sweep the hands up to the sky. You can either look forward or you can look up. Let's take a big breath in. Exhale, hands down to the mat. Step forward into your forward fold. Inhale to halfway lift, long spine. Exhale as you fold, right foot steps back this time. Low lunge, side number 2. Hands can come up to the hips or to the knee to start. Just kind of taking an inventory. And when you're ready, sweep the hands up. Gaze can be forward or up toward the palms. Let's take one big breath in. As you exhale, hands to the mat, this time plank pose. So step backwards, left foot meets right foot, and then from plank, move through your vinyasa. Take your time through it. So if you'd like to, take a chaturanga with or without the knees down. Pull through to a little cobra or upward facing dog. And then we will meet back in downward facing dog. From downward facing dog, the journey continues. Let's come to the top of the mat. So you could walk, step, hop, float, however you want to get to your forward fold. Inhale to halfway lift, lengthen to your spine. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, hands reach all the way up to the sky. Maybe the hips press forward. Exhale, hands to heart center. Inhale, reach all the way up. Try to get taller. And then exhale, bring it back down into your forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, lengthen to your spine. Exhale as you fold, right foot steps back first this time. So low lunge, left foot is in front, right foot steps back. Hands lift to the sky. Let's take an inhale. Exhale, hands to the mat, forward fold, step up, top of the mat. Inhale to halfway lift, lengthen to the spine. Exhale as you fold, this time left foot steps back. Left knee drops down. Your low lunge variation. Hands can reach to the sky if you'd like. Take a big inhale. Exhale, hands move to the mat. Plank pose, step back. And then from plank pose, move through your vinyasa and take it at a steady pace. There's never any rush through the vinyasa. In fact, I encourage you to maybe even slow down the pace of movement when it comes to the vinyasa. Really feeling the chaturanga, feeling the upward facing dog, or feeling whatever poses that you want to implement into that vinyasa. All right, let's keep it rolling. When you're ready, look forward, rise to the toes, bend the knees, walk or hop top of your mat, forward, fold. On your inhale, halfway lift, lengthen to the spine. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, hands up to the sky. Exhale, hands to heart center. And let's actually pause here for a moment. I just want to break down I just want to talk about some things with y'all. All right, so one thing is the halfway lift position, right? I just want to get us really feeling good about this. So often when it comes to a halfway lift, I'll see very common, right? I did this for a while too, where you go from a fold to a halfway lift, and you can kind of see I'm still rounded, right? Fold, halfway lift. And it's really not just about lifting the body at all. It's about lengthening your spine. So from the fold, when it comes to halfway lift, think hips back, pelvis back, and then try to extend through the spine. Maybe even bring the fingers up toward the knees and really feel the shoulder blades kind of pinching together on your upper back. And you're looking forward, so you're not looking back at your toes, you're actually looking maybe even in front of the top of your mat. So really lengthen to the spine. You can keep a bend in your knees. As you can see, for me to really find that flat back, my body requires me to bend my knees because that's just, I don't have that amount of openness. Right? Maybe the weight is in the toes. That might help too, to shift the weight into the toes. And then from there, you can forward fold. And then from the forward fold, the only other thing I want to cover right now is when you stand up from your fold to standing, try to shift the weight into your toes instead of your heels. Often if we rise to stand on our heels, we're putting strain on the low back. So you can even try that. If you rise to stand and the weight is in your heels, you might feel your low back being tugged, and that could lead to some injury over time. So when we rise to stand from a fold, let's try to bring the weight into the toes or into the balls of the foot, and then rise up to stand by pushing into the ground, and there's a little bit more strength component there, a little bit more stability. Anyways, that's a little bit of a rabbit hole, so I apologize for getting us off of our rhythm. Let's go ahead and get back into it. All right, so let's stand at the top of the mat, and you can do with that information however you choose. From the top of the mat, Tadasana. Let's use our inhale, reach all the way up. Exhale, forward fold. Weight is slightly forward into the toes. And we'll continue the flow. So inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, left foot steps back behind you. Low lunge. Drop the knee. Hands reach to the sky. Take a breath in. Exhale, forward fold. Hands come down, step on up. Inhale, halfway lift. So really try to find that flat back. Maybe you push through the knees. Maybe you push the hips back. And then forward fold, step your right foot back. Low lunge, right knee drops, hands to the sky. Take a breath in. As you exhale, hands to the mat, plank pose, and move through your vinyasa. You could always choose to even skip the vinyasa if you choose, right? You could just hold plank pose if you want. You could, right, take a knees down chaturanga. Let it be whatever you want it to be, and we'll meet back in down dog whenever the time comes. And then we'll keep on moving. From down dog, we'll rise to the toes, bend the knees, look forward, and then walk or hop. Top of your mat, forward fold. Inhale, lengthen the spine, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, hands up to the sky. Maybe the weight is onto the toes. Exhale, hands to heart center. And that doesn't mean we have to float the heels. It just means the weight distribution is forward on the feet. So inhale, hands all the way up. Exhale to forward fold. Inhale, lengthen the spine, halfway lift. As we exhale, fold and step your right foot back. Right foot steps back, right knee drops down. Hands to the sky, breathe in. Hands to the mat, breathe out, forward fold, top of the mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, as you fold, left foot steps back. Left knee can come down. Low lunge, hands to the sky. Let's take a nice breath in. Exhale, hands to the mat into your vinyasa. Take your time as you mindfully move through the positions that are resonating with you in this moment. Let the breath carry you. Let yourself feel compassion towards your body for being a part of this journey. From downward facing dog, we are done with that part of the flow. So let's kind of come to the top of our mat into a forward fold when you're ready. And let's find a chair pose. Sinking the hips low, lifting the arms. Then just try to find your breath. What I like to do in chair pose is to start to rock the weight forward and back. Same reason that I was just talking about, right? Because the experience that our body goes through is different depending on where we distribute the weight. And there's no right or wrong, right? It's something I always remind myself of. There's not one correct way to do anything, right? There's a lot of ways to do everything, and we're all different, right? Your hands could be lifted up or at heart center. Your weight could be forward or back. Maybe you see what it's like to float the heels up and rise onto your toes at the same time trying to keep the hips low. So maybe you imagine knees are moving forward, hips are pressing back, and we're in this toes pose, chair pose thing. And I know our legs are probably shaking, so let's go ahead and release into a forward fold. As you forward fold, shake out the knees a little bit. Shake out the arms, relax the neck. Slowly roll yourself up to standing. Use your big inhale to reach up to the sky. Exhale, hands to heart center. Tree pose. Let's stand onto our right foot and bring the left foot into tree pose. All right, so standing on your right foot, left foot comes into tree pose. And so your foot could be down closer to your ankle, could be up closer to your hip. That's really personal preference. Hands could be at heart center, or you could reach the hands up to the sky. Eyes could be open, looking forward. You could even close the eyes if you want. Be okay with the wobbles, right? If you fall out of your tree pose, know that that is super okay and normal. In fact, I literally just did it. I'm just going to try again. And then feel free to, let's try to release into stork pose, right? So as we release the tree pose, try to stay floating, but then pull the knee into the chest. Release the hands to heart center if they are extended up. And then let's lower into a chair pose. So that requires us to bend our standing knee, slowly lower down, chair pose. If you want, reach the hands up. We're not here for long, just take one breath in. Exhale, forward fold. Shake things out a little bit. Relax for a moment. And then round and roll to standing. The weight is forward into the feet. Use your inhale to reach up. Exhale, hands to heart center. All right, tree pose side two. So if you're on the right foot, go ahead and try this on the left foot. Again, the right hip opens. Your foot can land wherever you want, and we're really nice and strong into the standing leg. And just be okay with the wobbles, right? Maybe this is the first time that you've tried to balance on one limb today. I know it is for me. All right, embracing the wobbles. Give yourself another couple breaths in the position. Nice job, everybody. And as we think about releasing here, we're heading towards stork pose. So we're going to try to release the leg, but use our strength to keep it lifted and pull the knee back in toward our chest, and then slowly lower into a chair pose. As we bend the left knee, the right foot comes down, chair pose. And again, we're not here for long. Let's just take one breath in. Exhale, slowly release, forward fold. Shake things out a little bit. All right, we'll start to bring some flow back into our practice. So weight forward slightly in toward the toes, knees slightly bent, and then roll yourself up to standing by pushing into the ground. Use your inhale to reach up to the sky. Exhale, hands to heart center. All right. And another thing, just as a little fun fact that I can't help but sharing, the reason why I say kind of weight forward in the feet is when we're in a forward fold and the weight is all the way in the heels, the hamstring muscles are not activated, right? So it's really just a passive stretch. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? But often the body is actually craving a little bit more of active stretching. So even just in a forward fold, even just by shifting the weight onto the toe mounds in your forward fold, you're still in a relaxing forward fold, but it just activates the whole back line of your legs when you slightly shift forward. So that's why I'm kind of being a little bit persistent about that. Is it's just it's a very slight change that can change the experience of a posture. Again, there's not necessarily a right or wrong way to do it. It's just nice to be aware of the different ways to do something. So let's go ahead and come up to standing when you're ready. And this is where we'll start the next part of our flow. So this one will have a little bit of balance into it. So we'll come to the top of our yoga mat, and we'll start by coming into a stork pose on, so our right foot is standing on the mat, our left knee will lift up in toward our chest. So the right foot is down, the left foot is lifted and floating off the mat. The arms can do whatever they want. They could be at heart center if you want. And let's find a warrior three. Left leg extends back behind you. I meant to add blocks are potentially helpful, especially if you know you like using blocks in positions like warrior three. And so if you got to get your blocks, then no worries, grab your blocks. And then from here, left foot steps back behind you into a crescent lunge. All right, so feel free to reach the hands to the sky. Otherwise, you can always keep your hands at heart center. From here, take a deep bend into your left knee as if to hover the left knee over the mat. And then see if you can stay low in the hips, but drive the left heel back to straighten out your left leg. And let's take a breath in, reaching the palms higher. Exhale, hands come to heart center. Lean forward, warrior three, with or without blocks. Maybe reaching the fingertips down to blocks just for a little bit of support. From your warrior three, rise back up to stork pose. Left knee pulls into the body as we stand up. And then we place the left foot back down onto the ground and shake out the legs a little bit. So this is a nice flow that really strengthens up the legs. We're taking it pretty slow round one, but then we're going to build up a little pace. All right, so stand onto your left foot, top of the mat. The right knee lifts up, the right foot floats. From stork pose, find your warrior three position. So right leg extends back. Hands can stay at heart center, or they could reach overhead, or fingertips can reach down to blocks, which is, I think, what I'm going to do today, because it just feels nice to, even just placing one fingertip on a block on each arm kind of feels good to me sometimes. And then slowly drop back to crescent pose. So right toes land back of the mat. Hands can do whatever they want. Feel free to reach them up. And then let's lower our right knee down toward the mat. You can tap the mat or you can hover the knee. And then stay low in your hips, but drive the heel back, straighten your right leg. Take a breath in, reaching the fingertips up. Exhale, hands to heart center, lean forward. Warrior three, right foot floats off the mat. Option to bring your palms or fingertips to blocks. Stork pose, right knee pulls all the way in as we stand all the way up. And then feel free to place your right foot on the mat, shake out the legs a little bit. All right, let's take 2 more rounds of that flow, and we're going to go a tiny bit faster this time. Still pretty controlled, but this is where we get to just flow a little bit, all right? So when you're ready, right foot is down, left knee pulls into the chest, stork pose into warrior three. Left leg extends behind you. The arms do whatever you want to do to support the position. From here, slowly drop the left toes back behind you, crescent pose. Reach the arms up if you want. Keep breathing here. Slowly drop your left knee to tap the mat or to hover over the mat. And then drive the left heel back, straighten out your left leg. Take a full breath in, reaching the fingers up. Exhale, hands slide down to heart center. Lean forward. Warrior three. Left foot floats off the mat as we take the weight into the right leg. From here, stork pose. Left knee pulls all the way into the body. Stand all the way up. And then we'll release down to our Tadasana pose. Take a little moment in between sides, right? And just embracing the wobbles, right? That's just part of balancing, is that we're putting ourselves in unbalanced situations, right? Whenever we balance. So that's kind of the fun of it. All right, so we'll stand on the left foot, right knee lifts into the chest, stork pose, and then right leg extends back behind you, warrior three position. From warrior three, slowly drop your right toes behind you, crescent pose. Hands reach up to the sky. Take a deep bend into your right knee. Right knee hovers or taps the mat. And then from here, drive the right heel back, straighten out your right leg. Take a breath in, reach the fingertips higher. Exhale, hands slide to heart center, lean forward. Your warrior three variation. Arms do what they want to support the position. And then we'll come into stork pose. Right knee pulls all the way up into the body as we stand up. And then we'll release down to Tadasana. Let's go right into our final round. Just one more round. So right foot is down, left knee pulls into the body. Stork pose. When you're ready, warrior three. Left leg extends back behind you. Again, arms do whatever they want. Plenty of different options. From here, slowly drop your left toes behind you. Crescent lunge. Hands reach to the sky. Bend into your left knee. Left knee hovers over the mat or taps, and then drive the left heel back, straighten out your left leg. Take a breath in, reach the fingertips higher. Exhale, hands slide to heart center, lean forward. Take your variation of warrior three. Once again, these are our last warrior threes of the day. And then stand up, stork pose, left knee pulls into the body. And release down to Tadasana. All right, this is the last one, then we'll have a little bit of a break after this. So stand onto your left foot, right knee lifts, stork pose. Right leg extends back behind you, warrior three. Arms and hands do what they want to do to support. From here, slowly drop your right toes down, high crescent lunge. Hands reach to the sky. Bend into your right knee hovers over the mat or takes a little tap, and then drive your right heel back, straighten out your leg. Take a breath in, fingertips lift up. Exhale, hands slide to heart center, lean the heart forward. Warrior three, right leg floats. Stork pose, right leg pulls into the body as we stand all the way up. And then release down to Tadasana. All right, let's flow through a vinyasa, and then we're taking a break after that. So inhale, reach the hands all the way up to the sky. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, lengthen to your spine. Exhale, place the palms down. Step back, hop back, however you want to do it. Move through your vinyasa. And we'll meet back in downward facing dog in a couple breaths. And then once you land back in down dog, take your chosen resting position. So you could take a child's pose. Lately, I've been really enjoying just laying flat on the belly as a nice resting pose to switch things up. This is also a good time to grab a sip of water or just take any other positions or anything else that would just give you a nice moment of reconnection. And we all may be choosing different places to rest for a few breaths, but we're all breathing, right? That's what kind of connects all of us across the internet, right? Across our little Zoom screens, we're all breathing. Give yourself another few breaths. Just noticing how things feel as we kind of come right up to the halfway point into the practice. And so for the rest of the practice today, we will have about the next 15 minutes. We'll still be pretty active, kind of along the same path as what we've already done. And then after that, we'll wind it down and take some more passive stretching and really just bring a softer energy into the picture. But for the next 15 minutes or so, we'll kind of keep it pretty active and we'll explore some of our standing positions. So whenever you do feel ready, let's return to down dog. And if you would like any extra cat-cows or any more water or anything on your way, take what your body is asking for and let's meet in down dog in a couple breaths. And the journey will continue from there. All right, I appreciate y'all sticking with me. So from down dog, let's come to the top of the mat, forward fold at the top of your mat. Inhale to halfway lift, lengthen to your spine. Exhale, forward fold, release down. Inhale, rise up and reach up to the sky. Exhale, hands to heart center. All right, so this flow is similar to the last one, but it's also different, right? It's similar in the energy that we're finding, but it's different in the positions that we'll do. So when you're ready, stand top of the mat, stork pose. The starting position is the same. Right foot is on the mat, and then the left leg is floating. Left foot is floating. From here, slowly step back to warrior two. So left foot moves to the back of the mat, but we also have to open the hips for that to happen. And then of course, whenever you land, you can make any adjustments to your position so that it feels good to where you are at right now. Relax the shoulders a little bit. Let's take 2 breaths. I'll cue 2 breaths. You're welcome to follow with me if you want. So take a full breath in, full breath out, and then one more, full breath in, full breath out. take a big reverse warrior. If you want to, feel free to straighten out your right leg. That's your choice. Take a nice side body stretch for your right side body. And then from here, shift forward side angle pose. So feel free to bring your right forearm towards your thigh, or kind of knee to, or elbow to knee, however you want to think about that. Left arm reaches to the sky, and then start to take some big shoulder loops with your left arm. Basically drawing the biggest circles that you can, trying to reach as far as you can with your left fingertips, right? So imagining that the further you can reach with the left fingertips, the further you can stretch from the shoulder joint, right? So we're actually trying to find sensation from within the shoulder joint by moving our arm around in different directions. So this is not only a stretch, but it's also an exercise in awareness, right? So really feeling how the shoulder is able to rotate in this exact moment. Which directions feel good? Can it move this way? Can it move that way? How does it feel if I reach in this direction? If I twist my arm that way? Having this curiosity. From here, feel free to release, reverse your warrior again. This time, let's all straighten out the right leg as to prepare for triangle pose. All right. But resist triangle pose at first. So go ahead and reach the arms out to a T and reach your right arm forward to try to lengthen your side bodies. And then from here, slowly enter your triangle pose. Of course, your right hand could stay floating, or you could grab a block for your right hand, or you could use your leg, right? Lots of different ways to express triangle pose. Whatever your variation you find yourself in, let's try to breathe here for another 5, another 4, nice job, y'all, another 3, last 2. On one warrior 2, return to your warrior 2, and stay low this time as we reverse our warrior. Take a breath in. As you exhale, cartwheel your hands to the mat and step into a forward fold, top of your mat. On your inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, hands up. Exhale, hands to heart center. All right. So as usual, round 1 is nice and slow, and then rounds 2 and 3 will be a little bit faster. So just really feeling that patience and that mindfulness on round 1 since we're going a little slower. So stand on your left foot, top of the mat. Right knee lifts into the chest for stork pose. And then from here, take your time. This is a slow step backwards, almost like a little balance as the right foot steps back. And then we can adjust our stance to find a warrior 2 that we feel pretty good about. Once you land in your warrior 2, soften through the shoulders, right? Strong into the legs, especially the back right leg. If you feel like the front leg is taking all the weight, see if you can engage your back leg a little more. And then I'll cue those 2 deep breaths. So when you're ready, full breath in. Full breath out. One more, full breath in and out. Good. So inhale, reverse your warrior. Your choice if the left leg extends, if that helps you find a little bit more of a side body stretch. Wherever you're at, take a breath in. And then exhale, shift forward, side angle. So you can bring your left forearm down or your left elbow down if you want. Right arm can reach up, and then start to move through your big, explorative, curious shoulder rotations. You don't have to do this in any certain way, but again, my invitation is to imagine you're reaching the fingertips as far as you can in whatever direction you're reaching so that you can really explore the shoulder joint and find a little bit more space. And we're not just moving the arm around, we're also twisting the shoulder around its axis, right? Of course, the shoulder is a ball and socket joint, which means it can rotate in a lot of different ways. And what's interesting is that the socket part of the shoulder is actually the shoulder blade, the scapula. Kind of a nice, fun fact. All right, let's go ahead and reverse our warrior. Straighten out your left leg, find a side body stretch. We're preparing for triangle pose. When you're ready, open the arms out to a T. I like to call this triangle prep position when we're just reaching forward with the left hand. And then when we release the left hand down, we can really enter our triangle pose. So left hand could place on a block, on your leg, or you can keep it floating. Right hand can keep reaching to the sky, or you can place your right hand on the body. Sometimes it feels good. And we'll try to hold this position, breathing, for another 5, another 4. Nice job, everybody. Another 3, another 2. On one, warrior 2. So slowly bend your front knee, rise up, reverse your warrior, stay low this time. Take a breath in as you reverse. On your exhale, cartwheel your hands down to the mat, and then step forward into your forward fold, top of the mat. Relax the forehead down, maybe nod the head yes, shake the head no, relax into it for a second. Of course, we have 2 more rounds, but those are going to be much quicker. So the next 2 rounds will probably take less time combined than the first round did. So when you're ready, roll yourself to standing. Reach the hands up as you breathe in. Exhale, hands to heart center. All right, I might add on just one position to the flow. In fact, I will add on a balancing half moon onto the front end of the flow. So we'll go stork to half moon to warrior 2. Otherwise, everything will remain the same. So if you're like me and like to use a block in your half moon, just set yourself up so that there's a block kind of out in front of your right foot. All right, so let's stand on our right foot, top of the mat. Left knee lifts into the chest for stork pose. And then from here, let's open into half moon. So take your time as the left leg kind of circles back behind you. Right hand maybe reaches down to a block. And we're trying to find a moment of balance. And it's okay if it is not a moment of balance. When you're ready, start to bend your right knee and drop your left foot behind you, warrior 2. Give yourself a chance to land, and then we'll kind of keep it moving. So reverse your warrior up and back. Take a breath in. As you exhale, side angle, shift forward. And this time, just find any version of side angle, whether it's kind of what feels like a normal side angle, or maybe you find a half bind or a full bind, reaching behind your low back. We're just giving ourselves 1 or 2 breaths here, so find your breath. And then reverse your warrior again. As we reverse our warrior, prepare for triangle pose. So when you're ready, arms reach out to a T, and then enter into your triangle pose. And then same as side angle, we just have maybe 2 breaths here. Feeling expansive, taking up a lot of space. Warrior 2, bend into your right knee. Reverse your warrior as you breathe in. Exhale, cartwheel your hands and step forward. Forward fold, top of the mat. As you inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, hands up. Exhale, hands to heart center. Stand onto your left foot, top of the mat. Right knee lifts into the chest, stork pose. From here, right leg circles back behind you. Half moon. Give yourself time here as the right leg extends backwards. Give yourself time to be in balance, to be out of balance if need be, right? And then slowly bend your left knee, step your right foot to the back of the mat, where we are in our warrior 2. Give yourself a quick moment in warrior 2. And then reverse your warrior. Take a breath in. Exhale, move forward into your side angle. Take your preferred variation of side angle, whether it's no bind, half bind, full bind, whatever you're feeling. Give yourself 1 or 2 breaths. And then release and reverse your warrior. Shift up and back, preparing for triangle pose. Keeping your breath flowing, and then entering into your triangle pose. Again, we'll just have a couple breaths here. Nice job, everybody. Warrior 2. And then warrior 2 as we bend the left knee. Reverse your warrior. Breathe in. And exhale, cartwheel the hands to the mat. Step forward into your forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, hands reach all the way up. Exhale, hands to heart center. Last round of our standing movement for the day. All right, last one. When you're ready, stand on your right foot, top of the mat, left knee lifts into the chest. And then from here, circle the left leg back, half moon. Give yourself time to pursue balance, right? Find a relationship with balance. It doesn't mean we have to be perfect 100% balance. It just means we are finding a relationship with it. Slowly bend your right knee and step your left foot back, warrior two. From warrior two, reverse your warrior, breathe in. Side angle pose, breathe out. Find your preferred version of side angle, just for a breath. And then reverse your warrior up and back. Prepare for triangle pose. When you feel ready, feel free, enter your triangle pose. Give yourself about 2 breaths here. From triangle pose, warrior two. From warrior two, reverse your warrior, breathe in. Exhale, cartwheel your hands to the mat, forward fold, top of your mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, hands up to the sky. Maybe you lean back, maybe you push the hips forward. And then exhale, hands to heart center. Last half round here, all right? Then we'll bring it down. Stand on your left foot, right knee pulls into the body, stork pose. When you're ready, right leg circles back, half moon. Give yourself a moment in your half moon. Find a relationship with balance. Oh my gosh, my cat. Come on, that's not for you. My cat was trying to get into my camera bag. I'm like, dude, it's not the place for you. All right, from half moon, warrior two. Sorry about that, y'all. From warrior two, reverse your warrior, breathe in. Exhale, shift forward, side angle. Find your preferred side angle variation. Now my cat is looking at me like he's about to bite me. You can kind of see in his eyes when he's like, I'm coming for you. I'm hunting you. He wants to play. I know. You got those animalistic instincts. You want to fight me. All right, when you're ready, reverse your warrior. Shift up and back. Prepare for triangle pose. And then enter into triangle pose. Take a couple breaths. I don't know if y'all's pets are like this, but whenever hey, come on, dude. I don't know if y'all see, he just launched himself at me. I'm just trying to chill in triangle pose, man. All right, from here, find your warrior two as you rise back up. Reverse your warrior, breathe in. As you exhale, cartwheel your hands down to the mat and step forward into your fold, top of the mat. All right, relax into the fold for an extra breath. We will have one more vinyasa for the day. So if you'd like to, the opportunity is there for you to inhale, halfway lift. And then exhale, place the hands on your mat, step back or hop back. Move through your vinyasa. Take it at a pretty steady pace. And we'll meet back in what will probably be our final down dog of the day. Give yourself like 3 breaths in this down dog, just because we haven't done a ton of down dogs as part of our flows. So really try to push into the palms. Imagine the arms were extensions of the side bodies and you're really just pushing through the floor, finding a nice strong downward facing dog. Feel the sensations of your fingertips. Give yourself 1 or 2 more breaths. And then drop to a child's pose. All right, so you have 2 options here. Option 1 is to hold child's pose. That's a pretty good option, right? Child's pose is a very nice position, not just for the physical component, but it has a very nice grounding energy to it. So sometimes it just feels good mentally and energetically to hold child's pose. Option 2, since we mostly did a lower body practice today, invitation is to take a dolphin pose or a forearm plank if you are wanting something more active. So if you would rather rest here, we just did a lot of movement. So please know that your child's pose is a strong place to be. It is a strong place to be. If you'd rather take dolphin pose or forearm plank, the invitation is open for you. So for a dolphin pose, I like to enter dolphin pose from child's pose actually by tucking the toes and then lifting the hips up to the sky. So dolphin pose is basically like forearm plank mixed with down dog, right? Hips are up. We're walking the feet in. We're feeling sensation, backs of the legs. We're pushing the ground away with our forearms. Just like I just said that the arms were an extension of the side bodies in down dog, same for dolphin pose. right? From shoulders to elbows, the upper arms are an extension of the side body. We're pushing into the mat. We're breathing. And then option to hold here for another 5, another 4, last 3, last 2, and then on 1, let's all release to a restful position. So whether that's child's pose or whether that's just sitting down in a nice upright seat for a couple breaths, just give yourself a few moments here. Let things slow down. Maybe you were just holding child's pose that whole time, so then for you, just let things continue to slow down. Let things continue to be soft. From here, whenever you're ready, let's lay down onto our backs. As you lay down onto your back, if you have a block, grab your block so that it's nearby. And if you don't have a block, you could also use a bolster or a pillow for this, or you could even use a thick book, potentially. All right, so we're going to take 2 rounds of active bridge pose and then 1 round of passive or supported bridge pose. So to get ready for our first round of active bridge or regular bridge pose, we can bend our knees, right? And we're kind of bending our knees as much as we feel comfortable with so that our feet are nice and close in toward the hips. Feet could be about hips width distance, give or take. Fingertips can reach toward the backs of your ankles if you want, and then press into your feet. Lift the hips off the mat, bridge pose. As you enter bridge pose, option 1 is just to stay where you're at with the whole foot on the ground. Option 2, kind of like we did in chair pose, we've been exploring weight distribution in the feet, so opportunity if you want to rise onto the toes and lift the heels up off the mat. You may find the calves activate a little bit more, right? It's just slightly different of a sensation. And then option to stay in bridge pose here, but drop the heels down and maybe try to float the toes off the mat. And when the heels are down but the toes are lifted, that will activate the front line of the legs. So then maybe the shins feel like they're working a little bit hard. Maybe the quads are working a little bit harder. And then let's all release the whole foot down and then slowly roll the spine down. Slowly roll the spine down, and maybe you hug the knees into the chest in between rounds. Maybe you extend the legs up to the sky and take somewhat of a gentle inversion. Take about 2 or 3 breaths, and then we'll take our next round. And so have your block within arm's reach, because the way I'll cue it, I'll cue active bridge, and then instead of coming down onto the mat, we'll just grab a block and come right down into supported bridge. And again, if you don't have a block, you could choose to just lay down and take a little rest. You could choose to use a pillow instead for your supportive bridge, right? Just grab a thicker pillow if you have one. And then from here, let's go ahead and do it. So bend your knees, feet come back onto the mat, and then press into your feet, active bridge, round 2 of 2. I'll offer the same thing we did last time if you want it. If you want it. So if you want it, go ahead and rise onto the toes and float the heels up off the mat. We're breathing here. We're breathing. And then if you want it, drop the heels back down and float the toes off the mat. And then drop the whole foot down to the mat, grab your block or your prop, slide your prop underneath your hips, kind of right underneath the tailbone, and then let your hips land onto the prop. So this is where there is no effort required. The only effort is to make sure that the prop is in the right place. For me, I always try to make the center of the prop right underneath my tailbone. That's what feels most supportive for you. For me, it might feel different for you, but we want the hips to feel supported here. And then feel free to extend one leg long so that your heel rests on the mat. Feel free to extend both legs. so that your heels rest on what is now kind of the bottom of your mat. Option to keep your arms by your side or to place your palms on your body for grounding, or option to reach the arms overhead if you want more of a full body stretch. Maybe you close your eyes. There's no effort required here. I like to think of supported bridge pose as a counter pose to life, because in life we generally sit down a lot, and even in yoga we do so many forward folding positions where we're hinging at the hips. And this one, especially if you extend your legs long, we're doing the opposite. We're letting our hips extend. We're letting the front of the hip flexors stretch, and those are some of the most contracted muscles in the body. So really just letting this be a nice release for a few more breaths. Give yourself about 3 more breaths here. When you're ready, you can bend the knees again, and then just lift up off the block just so that you can slide it to the side. And then I will leave it open to you for however you want to end your practice. We have about 30 seconds to a minute here, so if you want a happy baby or another inversion could be a pretty nice option. If you want to take a quick twist to the left and to the right, that could be a decent option as well, if a reclined twist would feel good in your body. Just give yourself a few breaths here to kind of round out your physical practice in any way that would resonate with you. If you still need more time to move through whatever you're moving through, take all the time that you need. But whenever you do feel ready, my invitation will be open to take your Shavasana position. When we take Shavasana, we're really just embracing the idea of stillness, the energy of stillness. So whether it's laying on your back or sitting upright in a Sukhasana, or even laying on your belly or laying on your side, take the position that feels most like rest. Take the position that feels most easeful into your physical body. Once you make any adjustments to your position, once you find comfort and ease in your physical body, then we soften. We relax. The eyes soften, the jaw softens. And we'll have a few minutes here just to exist, just to rest. Shavasana. And begin to come back into your breath. Just noticing what it feels like to breathe in, to breathe out. Maybe finding some gentle movement into your body, whether it's a full body stretch, or maybe you roll over onto your favorite side. Maybe you move the ankles around, roll the wrists around. And there's no rush. We will eventually transition toward a seated position, but please feel free to take your time gently moving in toward your seat. Whenever you do happen to get there, you're welcome to bring the palms into a prayer position in front of the heart. Feel free to close your eyes if you'd like. And it is with a deep sense of honor and gratitude that I will take a deep bow to each of you.